Wheat is harvested, processed into flour, then combined with plant oils, corn derivatives, sugar, a specifically bred fungus and many chemicals. It is then kneaded thoroughly in massive machines, perfectly portioned out, baked to soft perfection, covered in sesame seeds and packaged for shipping. White onions are grown in massive hydroponic farms until the seedlings sprout, transplanted by hand into fields, and grown as big as possible before harvest comes. They then get processed, the harsh sulfur compounds mellowed out slightly with specific chemicals, then diced into pieces. These bags of diced onions are then packaged for shipping. Tomatoes are grown in the bright sunshine, harvested, then pureed and combined with vinegar, sugar, allspice, coriander, cloves, cumin, garlic, and mustard. This mixture is then stirred together until absolutely smooth, bottled into massive containers and ready for shipping. Cucumbers are harvested while still relatively young, and fitted as tightly as possible into massive glass containers. These containers are then stuffed with dill, parsley, and filled to the brim with strong vinegar before sealing to ferment. Weeks later they are extracted, washed, sliced thin, and ready for shipping. Milk is taken from a specific breed of cow, bred for especially prodigious milk production, and processed with acids to produce curds, which are then shaped into blocks of cheese. This process is slightly different from cheese to cheese, but when ready, the specifically made cheeses are melted together with an emulsifier to combine into a cheap cheese with a long shelf life and near complete stability. These are then sliced thin and packaged for shipping. And lastly, a separate breed of cow, specifically bred for taste and size, is raised and slaughtered. It's then fully processed with the meat and part of the fat going on to be made into circular meat patties, which are then flash frozen and packaged for shipping. When all these ingredients get to their destination, they are cooked and assembled by specially trained staff members to be served to eager customers. But this isn't some gourmet feast given to wealthy folks as a full meal they'll brag about for weeks. These are the ingredients for a hamburger. A hamburger that one outlet will sell to easily 1,000 customers daily for just 5 credits each. This insane logistical nightmare, from growing, to harvesting, to processing, to shipping, is all so one company can sell one type of burger to one customer. Think about that for a moment. Everything I described beforehand is purely so one company can ship the requisite number of ingredients to all their stores spread all over the galaxy, for one single item on their menu. A menu that usually has dozens of items. This company brought systems. Systems! Terraformed and cleared the world to perfect garden planets just so they could increase the output of their ingredients to meet the rapidly growing demand. There are entire systems out there populated by millions of people that all exist in that space to grow the ingredients needed for the company. And there's more companies like that. Dozens of them all, with different menu items and logistical problems. On this station alone, there is 127 fast food outlets that are owned by human companies. 127 places that must coordinate the intake of tons of ingredients a month in order to feed tens of thousands of hungry customers looking for a quick and cheap bite to eat. People often ask me, Professor, why the humans came to dominate the galactic economy so utterly? How did they grow from a new species eager to see the galaxy to the seasoned manipulator of policy and economy that is today? I point them every time to the hamburger. Its simplicity and cheapness is reliant on the massive logistical infrastructure, taking dozens of ingredients from often different sectors, processing them into the required components, and shipping them to hundreds of thousands of specific locations galaxy-wide. Fast food is a uniquely human thing. Their desire for easy and cheap meals they can wolf down on their way to their next pressing thing fueled the rise of intergalactic megacorporations. And these megacorporations pale in funding and logistical capabilities compared to those involved with the military-industrial complex, or banking, or technology. Before even breaching their home system, the humans were so used to insanely massive and complicated networks like this, it was second nature to them. They brought products whose components were assembled at a dozen different locations, who sourced their inputs from dozens more, and sent their outputs to thousands of stores. Our vast empires, for all their size and strength, were never as connected as the humans' home system is. So much of our food and arms were sourced from areas within just a few systems of their end destination, but all the while the humans built empires just to feed cheap, mass-produced foods to people. This massive spiderweb of logistical networks and transit hubs connected humanity in a way no other species have been. For all our empire sizes, we are often so disparate in culture between system clusters as to be almost unrecognizable. The humans became who they are, though, being so interconnected. They could rely on each other in a crisis or a war. They all understood that despite their very differences, they were one people, because they were all connected somehow. Planets relied on other planets for food, which in turn relied on other planets for laborers, which relied on other planets to produce the machines they needed, spiderwebbing outwards to connect their species in a way never seen in any other empire in galactic history. The ease at which humans produced logistical networks stopped the plagues in Hisu that threatened to wipe them from the record books. It aided Petrian refugees as they fled the systematic destruction of their empires, then broke the backs of the Telan in a brutal one-sided conflict that saw their empire collapse into bickering tribes. It made those tribes see reason, through connections and trade deals, that meant they couldn't drag the galaxy into petty war without severe sacrifice, and above all else, it brought the human economy to the forefront of the galaxy, leading the others by such a wide margin the next 5 empires together couldn't reach it. And all of this history and complex theory can be seen every single day in the simple hamburger you eat in maybe 5 bites between classes. The golden age we live in is all due to... Can I help you, miss? Professor, you've been told 3 times now. Stop using the chunks at your lecture room. Now, I appreciate your love of our burgers, but management requests you and your students please leave, before we bar you entirely.